Before you try another ashwagandha supplement, purchase an infrared sauna, or book another wellness retreat to Sedona, there's something you need to understand about your nervous system. While the best news ever is that nervous system regulation and support are trending, with all sorts of providers and parents and other health experts talking about ways to hack your nervous system. But like most hacks, they only go surface level and rarely get deep enough to truly help heal and repair most people's nervous systems. Now, we are the biggest fans ever of nervous system regulation, of functional medicine, of supplementation, detox, diet changes, and fitness programs. But the number one thing that patients tell us today is, I have tried everything and none of it seems to be working. The brain fog, the anxiety, the exhaustion persist for parents, and then the sleep issues, the sensory challenges, and the behavioral problems stay stuck in a loop for far too many kids. Now, here's what most parents and even other providers don't realize yet is you can't regulate a nervous system that needs to be repaired first. Until we dive deep and repair the foundational problems, everything else ends up just surface level band-aids that eventually peel off and don't get that job done. So this video is for parents who are absolutely exhausted from trying intervention after intervention without seeing lasting results. Parents who are ready to understand why nothing seems to work and what's actually missing from their current healing plan. So in this video, we're going to discover the crucial difference between nervous system repair and nervous system regulation, why all those wellness practices keep failing despite your best efforts, and the perfect storm that creates deep neurological dysfunction in our kids and the missing foundation that makes everything else finally work 10 times better. So depending on what research you look at, there is some shocking and alarming statistics. Between 60 to 75% of US adults have at least one chronic illness. And the numbers aren't much better in kids, with 40% or even more than 50% according to some research. Now, whether we're talking about chronic digestive issues, autoimmune disease, or neurodevelopmental challenges like autism, the rates of nearly everything have exploded in just a couple of generations. Now, this means we can't just simply blame genetics or better diagnostic criteria, but instead we have to put blame squarely on where it belongs, which is a chronically stressful, chaotic, toxic, and over-medicalized environment and lifestyle from the get-go. We see this pattern every single week in our office. Parents come in trying everything. They've been to multiple specialists. They've been invested in every therapy and protocol and program available. They see temporary improvements, maybe a few good weeks, but then everything regresses or resets back. That anxiety comes back, the digestive issues flare up again, the developmental progress stalls. It's not that these approaches don't work, it's just that the problem runs deeper than that. And so we see it time and time again where parents are frustrated about all the regression or all the stalling, no matter what kind of therapy they try. But that's where we need to understand the difference: repair versus regulation. Nervous system repair addresses the actual dysfunction within the nervous system itself, the interference and disruption caused by past trauma and accumulated stress that leads to something called subluxation and nervous system dysfunction. Think of it like repairing faulty wiring in your home's electrical system. No matter how many 4K TVs or how many awesome sound systems you try to plug in to make your house more awesome, it just overloads the system further and eventually breaks down. The problem isn't with all the equipment you're trying to add in, it's with that foundational power supply in the home that needs to be repaired first for everything to work. Nervous system regulation includes practices that help an already intact nervous system shift into that calmer, more balanced state. Whether it's breathing exercises or yoga, meditation, cold therapies, supplements, and various wellness practices. Now, here's the critical distinction. Repair is fixing the engine. Regulation is learning how to drive it smoothly. We can take all the driving lessons in the world, but if the engine itself is broken, it's not going to go anywhere. And the body keeps the score. It's stored deeper than we think. According to the book, The Body Keeps the Score, trauma isn't just processed and filed away in our minds. It's stored in the actual tissues and structures and nervous system of the body, often far below our conscious awareness. All of this is known as the somatic or the neurospinal system. This is why we feel all sorts of stress, whether it comes from physical exertion or toxins or chemicals or long and stressful and emotional days that get fully stuck in our neck or between our shoulder blades or in our low back or other parts of our body. When our body encounters overwhelming stress and trauma, it goes into protection mode. And this is a brilliant way to do for survival in the moment, but that protective state can become locked in, creating patterns of dysfunction that persist long after that initial threat's gone. Now, when this happens, we can't simply talk our way out of that trauma that's stored in the neurospinal system, in that brainstem, and in that vagus nerve. Similarly, you can't breathe away physical subluxation patterns that have been locked into your nervous system since that early childhood stress or birth trauma. Now, there's a fundamental principle in neuroscience. You can't be in growth and protection at the same time. When your nervous system is stuck in that sympathetic, dominant, survival-oriented state, all the meditation and all the supplements in the world won't create that lasting change. Now, the perfect storm requires deep repair. While we know modern life is extremely stressful for us as adults right now, what most parents and providers don't realize yet is how early stress and toxicity and medicalization of our current lifestyle starts for our children. Most children today go through a series of stressors that create cascading neurological dysfunction. Prenatal stress, when mom experiences high anxiety or takes certain medications, birth interventions like C-sections, which is now 1 in 3 births, forceps use, vacuum extraction, induction that can place profound physical strain on an infant's delicate brainstem and upper neck, early childhood stressors that compound the problem, whether it be colic, reflux, constipation, and those aren't just normal infant struggles. They're early warning signs of nervous system dysfunction. When these lead to frequent ear infections, repeated rounds of antibiotics, the damage deepens because research shows that repeated antibiotic use in our children under the age of 2 are significantly more likely to struggle with allergies and asthma and gut issues later on in life. Now, the level of stress and trauma most children experience locks in that neurospinal system into such a deeply stuck state that the surface level interventions simply can't get through. It's not that the other approaches are wrong. The dysfunction is just too severe for that to address it on its own. And that's why regulation tools keep failing. When subluxation creates constant interference in the system and the vagus nerve is dysfunctional from early trauma, regulation tools are like trying to change the thermostat when the furnace itself is broken. And that's what we see with therapies, interventions that don't stick or don't provide lasting results, gut health protocols that work temporarily, but then they plateau, those constant relapses after periods of improvement, high reactivity in our day-to-day life to very small triggers, and then quickly resetting back to a stress state even after we did some calming activities. Once the system is repaired in a ready state, that breath work becomes more effective. The supplements are better absorbed and utilized. Dietary changes create more significant impacts, and that body's innate healing capacity can finally activate. Nervous system repair opens the door for all those regulation tools to finally work as they're intended to do. Your family doesn't need more health hacks or surface level supplements. We need the right foundation. Now, through neurologically focused chiropractic care, we measure and we restore nervous system function using advanced scanning technology and gentle, effective adjustments. We help release years of built up stress and tension so that your child's body or your own can finally shift from protection mode to healing mode. So click the link in our bio if this hits home for you. Comment below, send us a direct message to schedule, and we can't wait to dive deep and see if nervous system repair is what you've been missing all along.